Namaskar, I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to our live and interactive session. You are watching us on PME Vidya channel number 8 and also on our YouTube channel NCERT Official. This session is meant for the students of class 8 and the subject that we have taken up today is English. Under the subject, we are going to learn quite an interesting chapter from your textbook. Yes, this is chapter number 4 titled Bepin Choudhary's Lapse of Memory. Quite interesting. Was he forgetful? Did he meet with some accident? What happened to his memory? Because I've generally, seen people singing the praises of their memory that I've got an elephant's memory, but here the case was a little different. But what exactly it was, we will reveal all the details to you in a while. But before that, please take down our phone number if you wish to connect with us. Phone number is 8800440559, and we also have an email ID for you, and that is ddh.class8@cit.nic.in. Since we are streaming live on our YouTube handle NCERT Official, you can always go to the comment section, put in your questions there, your suggestions, feedback, and get in touch with us instantly. And if our expert is asking you questions, we will definitely expect a reply from you. So do stay tuned in and do stay attentive. Now, who's there with us? And of course, we need some enlightenment on the topic, and for that we are joined by our expert. We have with us Dr. Amit Ranjan. Sir, namaskar and a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
And let me apprise you all that sir is Assistant Professor of English from CIT NCERT, New Delhi. And now, sir, it's quite an interesting topic, and I'm a little curious to know that what exactly happened to him. Did he meet with some accident, or he lost his memory? What was he forgetful? Like, what happened to his memory? And we're talking about memory. Like, is this the center portion, focal area of the story?
Yes, so we are talking about Bepin Choudhary's Lapse of Memory, written by none other than Satyajit Ray, the brilliant filmmaker.
Okay, great.
And storyteller, director.
So he was a prolific writer as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the story is about a person called Bepin, who is about 60. He's a prolific reader, and he prides himself on his memory.
Yeah.
But suddenly something happens that he forgets an incident, and this can be very traumatizing.
Yes.
If you get to know that you have forgotten something in your life which everybody else remembers.
Like I woke up this morning and I do not remember what happened to me over the years.
Yeah.
Okay, that's horrifying.
No, even more horrifying is when everybody else remembers and you don't remember one particular episode of your life.
Well, that surely is going to drive me insane.
So there are many movies and books also that deal with this. So for example, the Hindi movie Gajni, which was based on Memento, that was based on the idea of short-term memory loss.
Yes.
Which means that you remember things that are very old but don't remember recent things. So something of this sort happens over here. He's forgotten something which happened 6 or 7 years ago, which is not short-term, but which is not long-term either. But so his mind starts playing tricks, and which it would upon anyone. And so this story is very layered. It's about many things. What happens if we lose our memory? Because our life is composed of memories. What we are going to do tomorrow, what we have done yesterday has a lot of bearing on what we are going to be in our future. And it is very important to human beings, because we are storytellers. We tell stories, we listen to stories, so we want to know the story. Any gap in between any story is very frustrating.
Absolutely. So what he forgot, basically?
He forgot a whole trip that he had made to Ranchi.
A whole
person
trip?
from Calcutta.
Okay, I mean, I cannot digest that. How
anyway,
is it possible?
So let us go through the story.
Yeah.
But first, a little bit of introduction about Satyajit Ray, and which would encourage students to look him up and watch a few films by him. He also wrote short stories, detective fiction. There's a series called Feluda series, which is brilliant. So here, born in 1921, died in 1992, the legendary Indian filmmaker, writer. He also illustrated, he drew sketches.
Oh, wow.
He's most well known for his Apu trilogy, 3 films, Pather Panchali, Aparajito, Apur Shanshar. And these are absolutely iconic. And the strength of Satyajit Ray's films, they are not fantasies like Bollywood, they are not commercial cinema. They focus on day-to-day life, on ordinary characters, their struggles, on social issues. So the word auteur, the French word auteur, is the best to describe him, because he directed, he wrote musical scores, he designed sets.
And costumes as well.
Absolutely. So he's great artist.
One-man army.
Yeah.
And of course, he was internationally recognized, and of course, that
He
Academy
got
Award.
the Academy Award,
Yeah.
the honorary Oscar. He's also got Bharat Ratna, which is the highest civilian award, Legion of Honor. And the short stories I was telling you about, the Feluda's short stories, is also very popular. So he's an inspiration for several generations, and a great intellectual.
Yes.
So if you want to know about Indian cinema, as also detective fiction or illustrations, Satyajit Ray is a must go to.
Lovely. Okay.
Right, now let's go to the story. So we've already seen that this story talks about, it's a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
It talks about Bepin Choudhary's lapse of memory, focusing on elements such as memory, identity, maybe even retribution. We'll see as we
Yes.
go along. So the scene is set in Calcutta, now known as Kolkata, New Market in 1958, which is a vibrant hub of activity. And so this scene is shown where there's a bustling bazaar. Bustling is something where there's a lot of, everybody is busy,
Yeah,
there's a lot of
noisy.
noise. So there are street vendors selling things, and there's food stalls. So this is how Calcutta looked like, still
Full
looks
of
like
life.
actually. And this is the setting of the story, and this forms the frame of the story within which the action will unfold. So this is juxtaposed with all this busyness, this noise, this festivity, the food aromas are juxtaposed with. Juxtaposed is when you put something side by side.
Okay.
With this aging man who's introvert. Introvert is somebody who draws within himself, unlike extroverts who are outgoing, who mix with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Bepin Choudhary does not mix with many people. Rather, he likes spending time alone, reading books. It is said that he reads 5 books in a week.
So was he a bookworm?
Sort of.
Okay.
Yes. He can't do without books. So the text in our book says he had to read at least 5 books in a week. Had to means it was a compulsion with him. So one should not be like Bepin Choudhary, a bookworm, but one should not also be the opposite. And actually Bepin is a good inspirational figure
Yeah.
in an age of social media and so much noise,
Yes.
to find time for oneself and read books.
He's enjoying his company.
And this is also a reference that Satyajit Ray is probably making to himself as a person who reads a lot. As so it is very important to read a lot to be able to understand the world and to be able to write better as well.
Yeah, because somewhere writing's a writer's own reflection.
Absolutely, and if you are well read, you're the smartest person in the room anyway.
Absolutely.
That's an added bonus. Anyway, so as we saw, Bepin is a solitary man, deeply engrossed in literature, often withdrawing from social interaction. His life revolves around books, which serves both as a refuge and a barrier. So anything in extreme is not good.
Yeah.
So it's a refuge because he's able to understand a lot of things, read about the world, understand the world. But at the same time, it's getting too much into anything is also a barrier, because then you are antisocial. You do not interact with people, and that can become a problem.
Yeah.
So the stage is now set.
Okay.
From here, like in any good thriller, the reader has to keep guessing what is
We have understood the
happening.
character now.
Yeah. So we've already seen in 1958 there's rich cultural tapestry, and the way so Ray is also very famous in his movies for his settings. The way he describes a village or a city
Okay.
takes you there. You feel as if you inhabit that place. And so he has described Calcutta of 1950s, and I'll use Calcutta because Kolkata is
Yes.
new. Then it was known as Calcutta. Colonial architecture, because Calcutta was the capital of British India, of the British government in India until 1911, when the capital was shifted to Delhi.
Delhi, yes.
So you would see a lot of Victorian buildings, a lot of colonial era buildings in Calcutta.
True.
And of course, we've already seen there are trams, street vendors, and
Trams are still active there. I mean, that's the only state in the country.
no, trams are out now.
Out now? Okay. I thought they're still functional.
Only recently.
Okay.
Last year.
So no more joyrides for people of Kolkata. Okay.
So all right, now here comes, now we get into
Yeah.
the story where there are memory doubts, there are doubts about memory. So what happens is, while he's browsing books in Newmarket, suddenly he meets a person who introduces himself as Parimal Ghosh.
Okay.
And but Bepin does not recognize who this Parimal Ghosh is, and he thinks maybe somebody from long time ago, an ordinary character
Yeah.
who he doesn't remember. But Parimal Ghosh says that of course he knows him very well. So he says, you may be mistaken, maybe you do not know, you're mistaking me for somebody else. But Parimal says, no, I know you very well. We were together in Ranchi, and
Okay.
he tells him certain incidents, and this starts a spiral of doubt in Bipin's mind.
But what led Bipin doubt himself?
So Parimal told him certain specific things.
Okay.
So he said that you have a cut on your knee. You went to Hudru Falls in Ranchi. It's a very famous fall,
Okay.
also known as Hundru Falls. It's a very tall, violent and a beautiful fall where people go, and it's also dangerous. Lots of accidents happen over there. And so he says that you cut your knee at Hudru Falls, and you also met Dinesh Mukherjee, who's our common friend.
Okay.
So he's saying that it's not just my imagination, but there were other people that we know who also saw you in Ranchi, and that they gathered for a dinner and they had a debate about moon landing, an argument about moon landing.
Okay. So,
So
sharing some
the-
intimate details from his life.
Yeah, but let's also talk about the moon landing,
Okay.
which is that the American astronomers reached the moon in 1969, which is a very famous
And the
incident
story is set in?
of what?
This story is set in which era?
This story is set in 1970s,
Okay.
just after that. So when Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin they reached the moon, and there are lots of conspiracy theories if man ever meant to.
Absolutely.
Why? Because in the past 50 years or more, man has not sent a mission to moon again.
Yes, and they said that they actually filmed the entire thing in some studio.
Yeah, so when the computers were as big as this building we are sitting in, and now computers are on small chips
Yeah.
and there's AI, we're not still able. So that's one of the things. And there are other arguments like the flag is fluttering. There's a letter M embossed somewhere on the land, which are all conspiracy theories. There's no veracity to. The official version, of course, remains that man did land on the moon, but students would like to look this up or ask your teachers, your science teachers, and your parents about the moon landing, and some people may be able to, who were young at that point of time, throw light on what the excitement was about in the space race between Soviet Russia and America at that point of time. So all these intimate details about the falls, debate about moon landing at night during a dinner, a common acquaintance. And Parimal is also able to tell that his wife died 10 years ago, that he doesn't have children, that his brother is actually insane, had gone insane and is admitted at
These are quite personal details.
mental asylum at Ranchi. So these are the, so you see in a detective fiction or in a thriller, the writer throws hints of what might be happening. Now because Bipin's brother has mental health issues and is admitted in an asylum in Ranchi, it is likely that Bipin does not want to associate with Ranchi. So there are certain things in our life which are traumatic, which go completely blank.
Yes.
You remember everything else, and I can vouch for it myself. There are certain incidents from childhood which are completely blank, which may be a defense mechanism of our mind.
Yes.
Something unpleasant which we completely obliterate.
And we deliberately want to forget that.
So Satyajit Ray throws in a hint that this may be a post-traumatic stress disorder that Bipin is facing, because his brother has mental health issues and is in the same city.
Yeah, painful memories from Ranchi.
Yeah. So that may be the reason why he has forgotten about Ranchi. But anyway, the unease grows because he's past 60 and at that age he's worried if he may have Alzheimer's disease or something, or dementia, or short-term memory
age
loss.
is catching up.
Yeah. So then in the car he pulls up his trouser to look at his knee, and indeed there is a cut on the knee. And he tries to remember from his entire life if he had ever fallen and got that cut, but he can't remember.
Okay.
So which means this must have happened at that Hudru waterfall in Ranchi. So this confirmation leads to mystery deepens with that.
Of course.
And the thing is that Bepin has always prided himself on his memory. He's worked 25 years in a firm and he's known in his company as a smart man who remembers everything, who does not need too much help to do his work, and so on. So, do you remember Dinesh, the person who is the common friend of Parimal and Bepin,
Yes.
who they met at Ranchi?
Yes.
So, he decides to call him up, call up Dinesh.
To cross-check the facts, whether he ever visited Ranchi and met him.
But at the same time, he's scared of calling Dinesh because Dinesh may think that, oh, the man is growing old and mad.
He can be a little sarcastic.
So he is egoistic. He does not want that anybody should know that he's got this. So he decides to talk about something else and somehow bring this into the conversation.
It happens in real life as well.
And then he makes a phone call. But it is shown in the story that he remembers Dinesh's number. So it's to highlight that he's got good memory. He does not refer to his diary. He just dials 26713, something like that. It's written in the story that he doesn't look anywhere. He just remembers the number and dials. And it's not a close friend. It's a common friend and acquaintance. So he talks to Dinesh and he says, oh Dinesh, do you remember in 1958 where all did you go? So he says, oh, let me look up my diary. So Dinesh does not have a problem referring to the diary. Bepin is more egoistic, that he remembers everything. And he had gone somewhere in February, and then he said that in June, oh, in June, you were with me in Ranchi, you should remember that. And, and then Dinesh becomes suspicious. Why doesn't this man remember it? When he prides himself on his memory. So Bepin slams his phone down. And this is complete confirmation that he has forgotten. There's a cut on his knee. There's a common friend who says that he was with him.
Testifying, yes.
So it's indeed a very traumatic moment for Bepin. Then he goes home and he is just too tired with all this effort. So his old friend Chunni Babu comes for help. Interestingly, Chunni Babu is also the character in Devdas, you remember. Chunni Babu comes, but here we get another glimpse, and this is the hallmark of a good writer, that he's throwing in these hints that Chunni Babu has come for help. He's his childhood friend, Bipin's, and in some way it is stated that Bepin can help him, but right now he's in no mood because he's struggling with his own memory issues. So he wants to just ask the guard to ask Chunni Babu to go away. But just as the guard asks Chunni Babu to go away, Bepin thinks, oh, maybe Chunni Babu can help me with remembering. Because he's been a friend for a long time, maybe I can ask him about 1958. And he asks Chunni Babu.
So he has no fear of being judged again?
No, so he tries to be smart in his conversation and not give away too much. But unfortunately, when you try to act smart, people catch you. Like Dinesh caught him and said, what's up? So similarly, Chunni Babu also gets worried and says, of course, in 1958 you went to Ranchi, I remember very well. I dropped you to the railway station. How do you not remember? And he shows great concern. And then out of concern, Chunni asks him other questions about other times, which Bepin is able to answer correctly. So it's very a deep mystery that it's not a general memory problem that Bepin Babu has. It's only one particular trip that he's forgotten.
My goodness. Now 3 people.
So
are
now then he
actually-
goes to the doctor, and the
Yeah.
doctor says that I know of short-term memory loss, I know of other
Uh-huh.
kinds of diseases where people start forgetting, but you seem to have forgotten only one particular thing. Now I don't know what this kind of disease is. What I can suggest to you is, why don't you go to Ranchi, relive the places that have been mentioned to you, the waterfall and this and that, and maybe something will strike you. As we have seen in many movies also, that people, when they go back to a certain place, they start
Means all these things
remembering.
perturbed so much that he was ready to seek medical help.
Not just medical help, he goes the same evening to Ranchi, books a
Okay.
ticket and goes the same evening to Ranchi. He roams around, but he does not recall anything. Like a Bollywood movie, you know, flashes of memory come, nothing happens. In the afternoon, he goes to Hudru Falls. There also he doesn't
He couldn't recall
remember
anything.
And then he faints over there because of exhaustion or of
Trauma and whatever
trauma.
else,
So at
confusion.
5 in the evening, some Gujarati picnickers find him lying
Unconscious?
unconscious by the rocks, by the boulders.
Okay.
And next day he comes back to Calcutta after all that. And this is where the story wraps up. He receives a letter which is marked urgent, and it's a letter from his friend Chunni Lal, who he's refused to help. And Chunni Lal says that Bepin Babu changed when money came to him. So they were both friends in young days. And apparently Bepin Choudhary did not help his friend from childhood in times of need. So Chunni Babu ends the letter by saying, what I have is imagination and I used it for retribution. What do you think happened?
Well, of course, you're leaving me a bit confused because quite a complex story, and myself, I couldn't gather, like, was he setting up the entire thing, or was it some kind of revenge?
So from the letter it is clear, though it's clearer in the longer story. We
Yeah.
have an abridged version of the story. If you read the longer story, it will be clearer. But it's clearer from here as well, that Chunni Babu has set this whole thing up.
My goodness.
So basically, the hints that we saw, if you follow those hints, we'll understand that Bepin is an introvert. He does not have many friends.
Right.
So whatever few friends he has, Chunni Babu is able to set them up. So the 2 people mentioned over here, the one who meets him in Ranchi, Dinesh, and Parimal Ghosh, who meets him at the bookstore, he just has to manipulate those 2 people.
Oh.
And those 2 people you know, played along,
So much
played
of
the game
vengeance
of,
in him.
yeah, that's true.
So now we're left with.
But it
Yeah.
goes on to show that a doubt can be planted in our mind
Yeah.
by, if many people tell you a lie, it starts looking like a truth. And
Exactly.
you start doubting yourself. And in this day and age of fake media and
fake
news and all those things, it's very important to understand this, and this story is very relevant for this time.
Absolutely. You know, if you keep on repeating the fake
So I guess
news.
we're running out of time,
Yeah.
but we'll quickly look at
Sure.
the themes of the themes that the psychological implications of manipulation is something that you need to think deeply about, and also be aware that you're not manipulated.
Yeah.
Also that you do not manipulate other people.
That's right.
It's also about the nature of our memories and about the cognitive aspects of memory. These are the questions that we should think,
Yes, I
think
think-
at your home.
Absolutely,
And
it's kind of an
discuss with
assignment.
your teachers. Did Bepin really forget Ranchi? What clues make you think so? So this is focus on the evidences within the text.
But for that, you know, they need to read the original story.
No, this story is good
This
enough.
enough?
Just
Good enough?
focus
Okay.
on the text.
Okay.
Look for the clues over there.
All right.
Why did Chunni Lal play his trick? Was it a good thing to do? It's a moral question. How can our memories trick us? Has it ever happened to you that you are confused about whether you remember something, or if you've forgotten, or if
Yes.
you remember it right or wrong? What does this story tell us about friendship?
Oh, yeah.
And if you were Bepin, the final question for you, if you were Bepin, what would you do after finding out the truth? That is left unclear in the story
Actually,
as
you
well.
know, you and I want to answer these questions after listening to the story, but still, you know, since we're running short of time, we have to wrap the session over here. But yes, it was quite intriguing, and I'm sure, you know, our viewers have enjoyed the session like me. And so thank you so much for revealing the truth at the end of the story.
Thank
What is it all about? And Thank you once again for your time and contribution.
much.
And to all the viewers, it's time for me to wrap up this very interesting session. It reminded me of Byomkesh Bakshi constantly, because again, it is one of my favorite detectives and the thrillers part of it as well. And of course, who can forget about Sherlock Holmes? So all these things, if you have a love for thrills, this is the story for you, session for you. And please do answer those questions. We'll be waiting for your replies. You have the email ID, but for the moment, we are closing the session here. And before I leave, let's take a quick look at the schedule, what's all coming ahead. In a short while from now, you can watch our session on social sciences. We'll be talking about agriculture, and at 4 o'clock, we'll bring you our online training program on Paricharcha app. 5 p.m. is the time for our session Sahyog. With this, it's a wrap. This is me, Harpreet Kaur, signing off, and we'll join you soon. Namaskar.